Welcome to a new episode of Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid Ahmed.
Welcome to a new episode of Hacks and Hobbies. I talk about hacks, life hacks, hobbies. I've got a million hobbies and one. My favorite hobby of them all is video. Making video, shooting video, creating content, and capturing life as it happens. So I started this podcast about earlier this year. And in 2018, I decided I'm going to do something great. And I've been thinking about doing something for a while. And then turns out 2018 had to be that year because I turned 42. Because 42 is the answer, right?
There you go. There you go.
So I've reached out, I connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn. I've connected to a lot of people. I've attended LinkedIn local events, met with people, spoke about videography using a mobile phone. And through this process, I met Vadym like waiter. Right, so Vadym Guliuk here. He's been doing photography for quite some time. And I love the work he's done. I followed his art, his creations on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I saw a lot of good stuff that you're putting out there. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Vadym Guliuk. I'm a photographer, videographer, drone pilot, virtual reality, explorer, many hats. And what I do is I do visuals, and I deliver my clients' best looks through different mediums. My mission is to satisfy the world with the best image possible for your specific needs. And I do it through application of latest technology, best techniques, and my expertise.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I love it. Now here's the funny part. So I connected with Vadym about a week ago, was it? Maybe
About
2 weeks.
a couple of weeks.
And I was like, we just started chatting back and forth. And I was like, I want to talk to Vadym because he's doing what I want to do, or what I wish I was doing for the past 10 years. And so I was like, what better way than to go and talk to him?
And we're talking.
And now we're talking.
And you're going to hear it out.
You can check it out. And if you're interested in having a talk with me, please feel free to connect because I want to know what your story is. So, welcome, Vadym. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Very nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
So, my name is Junaid. I run the podcast, Hacks and Hobbies. I started this about a few months ago when I got into my hobbies of beekeeping. And I was like, I need to record this. I need to document this process. And why podcasting? Well, it was easier to capture everything that was going on. My education, going through the process of building all of the equipment, and getting it down to brass tacks, getting it out there. So for the past 3 months, I've been just documenting the beekeeping process. But now I want to learn from other people what their hobbies are, how did they bring their hobbies from being a hobby to full-time full hustle or main hustle, essentially. So I learned about you. I connected with you on LinkedIn. I've connected with you on Facebook. I followed some of the stuff that you're putting out there, and I am absolutely flabbergasted. I mean, it's amazing. So
thank you.
Tell me. Yeah, you're welcome. So tell me, how did you get into this?
So years ago, back in Europe, I was doing acting for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was doing hobby photography, and I knew that I wanted to be behind the camera, create my masterpieces, be the master behind each masterpiece I create.
Yeah.
So when I moved to the States, I didn't go West Coast, didn't pursue any acting career.
Mm-hmm.
I've dove into photography and video and creating beautiful imagery.
Yeah, nice. So just right into what you love to do.
Absolutely.
How did you find that this would actually do it for you? Or
That inner passion. Inner passion, that
Yeah.
is what you've been born to do.
so tell me more.
Absolutely.
So this is my first time doing a video interview, being in front of the camera and all that stuff, right? Other interviews I've done were being behind the camera.
Right,
The questions were already asked. They already know what to say, and then they're just putting these pieces together.
Very nervous?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Super nervous.
Being on camera is not easy, man.
No.
It's not easy. You gotta have somebody behind the camera who's gonna work on you and relax you and
Right, right.
expressions and shooting you up, hey,
And that's what you do with photography, right? When you're behind the camera.
Absolutely. Lots of creation takes place before the record button is being hit
Yeah.
or the shutter button to create that image.
Yeah.
I'm a creation believer,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that no accidents happen, in photography. I
Mhm.
create the mood, I create the body language,
Yeah.
the composition, and then when all pieces match, that click or record button happens.
Yeah.
As if you were to imagine a Lego box
Yes.
you have in your trunk. So imagine shaking that box, and you open it up, and all of a sudden a ship comes out,
Yeah.
already made. It doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Same thing in photography and video. Lots of directing and staging happens before the beautiful images come out.
Yeah. I love it. Just to set this whole stage up took us about an hour. Right.
Something like that.
About
yes.
something about an hour. It's like, wow, this takes a lot of time. All the gear that you need to bring. You gotta make sure you gotta have the SD cards, because I forgot mine. One SD card.
No worries, we'll get back up.
Yes. And I figured, who else to talk about photography and videography than you, because you've been doing this for a while, and this is somewhere that I want to go into as a professional or as a hobbyist. I've had passion with video for a long time. The first camera that I used was an 8mm camera. That's not the typical 8mm camera, but it was a Sony or a Canon 8mm tape you pop in, and then you start recording. The resolution is lower than DVD quality, right? But it was so much fun. You're setting up the scene and you're shooting. I was like, this is fun. And then somehow along the way, I got into photography. Now, sure, I was using point and shoot photography, or point and shoot cameras, and I was just go for the shot. But I didn't have this back end thought through. Like, I didn't study the whole thing, although there's no studying, it's all practice, right?
Lots of shooting away is gonna happen. One of my favorite exercises was to actually mess with the settings, like white balance, your aperture, your shutter speed, and see what kind of mistakes you can make.
Yeah.
So that in real life, when something goes wrong, in an instant, how to change it to the right settings and be able to continue to shoot.
Yeah. So, what's next?
What's next?
So you got the hobbies, you got into photography, you made it big, and now you're doing a lot of event photography. What type of photography?
My specialty is people. I believe if I work with people, I have to know how to make them look good and make them look their best. All of us, we walk through the stores, we see these magazine covers,
Yes.
and we want to look kind of
You
want to look presentable, So when I work with people who are not models, who are just everyday people, business people, it's my job to direct and coach them on their body language and their expression, figure out what lighting we're going to use, what is the message in the first place.
Right.
We'd be creating different types of headshots for somebody who's into hospitality business versus law enforcement. There is different messages we are going to show. Absolutely.
Nice. All right, so that is pretty awesome. So with photography comes, how do you get the message across? Well, or how do you get people to notice what you're doing? Or what is one of the ways that you get noticed? You advertise, you have a website set up. I don't even know why I'm going to that direction.
Well, it's word of mouth. It's mostly word of mouth.
Yeah.
I've done it all back in the day, advertising and Google ads and stuff like that. What I found for myself, what works best for me is a word of mouth.
Yeah.
And another emerging tool which we can use is the social media platforms.
Yes.
It gives you exposure to thousands of people, and you never know, somebody might be watching that piece at the right time and they instantly gonna give you a call.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Social media has come a long way. I remember I was just looking the other day through Facebook, and it said you've been friends with your cousin for 11 years on Facebook.
Nice.
I mean, Facebook's been around for over a decade, right?
Yeah, it's about to hit some puberty.
Exactly, it's about to hit puberty. And what's amazing is that it's growing. It's still growing. And where it's come around, like initially it was just all about connecting with friends. And then they introduced the business platform. And that's one of the reasons why it's still growing, because there's 2 billion active users on Facebook. The advertising on Facebook is on point, right? So that's one way to get to your audience. You can dial in the specific people that are searching for photography, searching for they're having a wedding. Maybe you can even look at what's on their calendar. Are they going to a wedding in the next 30 days? Maybe they need a photographer. I don't know. There's a lot of.
I think they are in trouble if they need a photographer.
I know, right?
In 30 days.
In 30 days. Well, it could be like, I'm attending a wedding, but I want a personal photographer for myself, for my family.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Everybody's got makeup on, their dresses on.
Exactly.
Why not have a shoot? And actually, it's a good practical tip.
It is very practical. And
do your family shoot on the wedding day.
On the wedding day, because you're already getting ready for a wedding.
But don't miss a wedding.
Don't miss the wedding, that's right. Get there on time, because that's the other problem, right? So in this past summer, I attended 4 weddings. And these are my wife's cousins, my cousins. They're all getting married, and everybody's getting dressed up. And there's so many different things happening. And you're like, okay, when's a good shot? You're either you're walking around with a camera or you're walking around with a baby on your hip, right? So it's one or the other. I managed to have a strap and one camera on one hand and one baby on the other hip. Managed to capture some good photos, but anytime I wanted a photo of myself, my family, it's like, all right, who's gonna, you just have to hand your camera out to somebody else. And then you look at the photo and there's so much ceiling in that photo.
There you go.
Right? So, like, no, like you cut off half my feet and, there's ceiling. So it is very necessary to have a professional, somebody who knows what they're doing. They'll capture you in a beautiful way.
Capture you, and before they capture you, there is 2 ways to go about it. I recently put up a blog on my website, what a wedding photographer is, based on my 10 plus years of experience and philosophy. And there are many hats wedding photographers get to wear. It's a portrait photographer, it's a photojournalistic kind of photographer, food photographer, architecture photographer, product photographer, jewelry photographer, you name it. There is a lot of skills, which go into photographing a wedding day. But the 2 most important skills are the portrait and the photojournalist. They go hand in hand. For example, for example, the photojournalist part. Moments like little girl whispering sweet words into the bride's ear.
With doing work for yourself
Yeah.
comes a very important factor is motivation.
Oh yes, it's a very it's a very good thing. So first of all, it begins with a passion. You gotta have lots of passion to do what you do, and then you run into OMG.
Oh my God, this is a lot of work.
It's like I was, anybody who thinks of going, self-employed full time, you think the goal is to have more time for your family,
Yeah.
for traveling and stuff like it. But what you end up doing is you work 80 hours a week so that you don't work for somebody else 40 hours a week. That's what you're gonna be doing.
That's right.
And in order to be motivated through that, be clear with your goals, with what is your personal why. Why are you gonna work double shifts a day to succeed in your own eyes, whether it's for your family or for other circumstances. So for me, it began with passion. I knew I wanted to be behind the camera. I knew I wanted to create beautiful images. My mission and vision is to actually satisfy the world with the best still in motion image through applying best techniques and expertise and state of the art technology suitable for specific needs. And that goes hand in hand with headshots, with event photography, video, drone, commercial kind of projects. Is that, I'm driven by satisfying and delivering better and better and the best results possible for the projects.
Right. And that motivation takes time to build up, right?
Consistency. Consistency. You got to be consistent, and over the time you're gonna gain more and more skill. You'll be able to expand your line of services that you do, get paid more, land more clients, and the reality is it's all in your hands as much as you're willing to push and put in it, and that's why you're going to be working 80 hours a week in order to achieve success.
Yeah, and most of the times it's easy to do the 80 hours a week because you're not really leaving your home. You're working 80 hours inside your home. I mean, it depends on the events that you might have to go to. Now, another awesome person that I've been following on LinkedIn is Eric Didier. Now, Eric, he is working 100 hours. And he says, I only need 4 hours of sleep because I am loving what I'm doing on a daily basis, right?
Oh,
so
yes.
When you love what you do, you don't really feel like you're working because you're doing what you love to do. And you can spend hours and sometimes you can't even sleep. Am I right? Because you have that, or I got to edit that video, I got to edit that sound, I got to edit all these photos, get them out there, get feedback, because that's where the passion, it lives, it reignites, and that's the feedback.
Yes, I've had days when I was shooting for 18, 20 hours straight. I get back home and then I want to just go through all my footage, go through all my shots.
Because everything's fresh.
Oh yeah, and just get that prep work done and get ready to work on it the following day.
Now, another thing that we've been seeing with new college students is that they want that entrepreneur label, the entrepreneur title in their name, and they're just coming out of college. Some people are dropping out of college, but is that the right way to go? Do they know exactly what they're getting into?
Speaking of education, I think it's a little bit overrated when it comes to the expectations from it. Growing up, I was told, just go to school, go through your graduate degree, spend another 6 years, and then you'll be set for life.
Yeah.
You'll get a job. The job will pay for your vacations, for your house, for your family, and you're gonna, eventually retire and enjoy the life.
Yeah.
In reality, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, and whether you have a degree or not, you never stop learning. There is a lot of self-development about your personality, your best applications on yourself, learning different techniques of your trade, being the best, and that never ends, that never stops. So if you're somebody who doesn't like studying, maybe entrepreneurship is not for you.
Yeah.
The school and being educated and self-disciplined doesn't end with a school. You won't have teachers to discipline you anymore. You won't have anybody to grade your work. You'll be your own accountability partner to go through life.
Yeah, and that's one hard thing to swallow. It's like, okay, and a lot of the times, well, the reason our parents told us that, gotta go to school, gotta get a good job, and then you'll have it set for life. Well, the problem is, back in the 50s, it made sense because the schools are teaching you to be in a certain place for 8 hours, so then you can replicate that when you're at work. You spend 8 hours at school, you come home, you do whatever. You go to 8 hours for work, you come home. So you're replicating, and it starts from a very early age, right? Preschool, kindergarten. You're teaching that same thing. So now it's ingrained. But the system has changed so much. I mean, there's so many more ways that people can make a living and be well off than just going to school. But majority, school does get you to a point where you understand and open your mind. But is it for everybody? I don't know.
I wish when I was growing up that since my first grade, I was being put in a school where I'd be just studying whatever I wanted to study. In my case, it would be only arts, photography, videography, and sometimes I dream and I imagine myself studying all of that since I was 7, and I would be kind of curious to see what would have I become by the age 18.
Absolutely.
I think I would have a lot more clue what I want to do with my life, and it's just unimaginable. But it's good to dream sometimes.
You have a really good point there, because if you think about it, athletes, you think about musicians, they're started at a very young age. And for example, people will send their kids to do piano lessons, violin, and all these things. And kids who get really good at it is because they spend more time doing that on a weekly basis. They're spending 10, 12, 15 hours a week mastering those things. And by the end of 10 years, they're masters and they're playing in orchestras, and that's their career now. They really don't need to go to school. School was invented or created to create workers for the industrial age.
Pretty much the point you're proving by being a good student, and I'm not about to discourage anybody from being a good student.
Very important.
Is you can show up on time, don't miss, and follow the rules, and turn in your work, or your homework, or your work for a good grades or a good salary. And the life is in life you want to go beyond that. You want to be self-motivated, you want to be self-driven, you want to know what you want to do, become good at it, and deliver the results.
Because it's very important, because those same skills, those same things that you learn applies to entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
Because when you are paying attention, you're learning, you're getting there on time, you're showing up, you get the work done. If you're not showing up, you're late, then you then start to eat into your personality or eat into your credibility.
So self-discipline is number one important aspect to have when you don't feel like it, when things are not working out, and but you gotta be pushing. You gotta keep on pushing.
Yeah, keep on pushing. And there will be times that you're bored, which is fine.
Which
Right.
which means you gotta step up your game, and expand your horizons and see what else is out there that you haven't mastered yet.
And that's where hobbies come in, right? If you're bored at work now, I had a talk with a friend of mine yesterday, and he said, I was really into music, and sure, it affected a little bit to what the work he was doing. He's a computer programmer, but when he comes home, he's playing a guitar. It affected a little bit because he was expanding in the direction that he was going, but it still worked out for him. But most of the times you love programming, right? You love programming. You're programming at work. You're coming home. You're creating your own projects. It's good because you're focusing and you're expanding your mind in that specific area. And that's where hobbies can sometimes offload your brain, because sometimes you want to spend time just organizing your tools. And when you're organizing your tools, you're using a different part of your brain, which then lets your other part of the brain solve problems that you might have at work, programming-wise or photography-wise or whatever it is that you're thinking. Another interesting thing that I saw is we don't let our minds wander anymore. We have so many distractions, right?
It's easy to get distracted.
It's so easy to get distracted, but not just that. I mean, we actively distract ourselves by trying to be multitaskers. When we're looking at our phone, okay, did I get in? Okay, you're basically changing how your brain works. And there was a study then that 5-10 years ago, our attention span was about 15 minutes. Now it's down to about 5 minutes.
What did you say?
Exactly, right?
I think you got a text. Hold on.
I think you gotta check. You gotta check what's going on.
Emails.
But again, right? It all comes down to: are you able to overcome those distractions and be motivated and keep on going?
Well, when you're driven, there are. When you look at the perspectives in life, time is the most valuable asset that you have. You can make more money or more of anything else, but you cannot make more of time.
You can make more of time.
And when you think about it that way, you just got to apply yourself best and not waste any time.
Yeah.
Literally.
Absolutely. That's so true. When they say time equals money, that is not true. That is a lie being told to you, because time cannot be replaced, money can.
Money can be earned again.
Yeah.
Try earning another year or another 20 years. Time wasted.
Man, there's so many tangents. There's so many levels to go into it. I don't know which way to go anymore.
We can go into personal development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, personal development. Speaking of being your best self, whether it's in your relationships or your business or other ventures in life, what I found useful for myself is diving deep into my personality, figuring out what I am, what triggers me, what excites me, and then applying my best through different levels, segments of my life. And I come to find out that I am an ENTP, and I like dreaming. I like big ideas. Ideas just pop into my head. I don't have enough time to jot them all down. And then when it comes to execution, it's a little bit different game when it comes to execution and making it happen. So knowing that, I just train myself on. I already knew what's the other message is gonna pop into my head as soon as I start applying those ideas, and I just had to figure out for myself what to do about it.
Yeah.
Because getting down to the routine work and actually making it happen is, my personality-wise, is not the best application of myself.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting bored, probably that's what would make me. It makes me bored. I like every day everything new. That's why probably I do photography and video, because I work with different clients all the time. It's different projects. Even two headshots, they're not created the same way.
Yeah.
There are different messages, different personalities we are bringing up. Two weddings are created the same as well. It's absolutely different. And once I brought in drones and virtual reality cameras, I'm just overwhelmed with myself and providing a whole range of different services and just having a good time at it.
Very, very. It's funny. I took the test the other day, and it also showed me that I'm an ENTP.
My man.
Right. So I was like, wow. And I was thinking to myself, if I had taken that test 15, 20 years ago, I would have been a totally different person because maybe I was an introvert. But thanks to Tony Robbins, thanks to Gary Vaynerchuk, they've helped open my mind in ways that I've never thought was possible. And having mentors is an excellent way. And a very important thing to have a mentor, because you look at professional athletes, they have coaches.
Absolutely.
Right? They are not professional. They didn't get to that level without external pushing, mentorship. So having mentors is an excellent way to help realign where you're heading.
Get one today.
Get one today.
And so do you mentor?
Do I mentor?
Yeah.
I try. I've had the opportunity to inform people about user experience, because that's my main field. I've been doing that for about 15 years, and I get a lot of questions on LinkedIn, and people just connect to me. It's like, I want to go into user experience. What should I do? What should I look into? So I tell them, okay, you need to subscribe to these guys. You need to take these courses, and how long is it going to take you to get to where you want to be? I mean, everything requires time. Everything takes a lot of time to get to where you want to be.
Lots of time, lots of effort, lots it's not working out. What do I do now?
Yeah.
Just be ready for the roller coaster, and that's a beautiful part about it.
It is.
There is no stability whatsoever. You just over some time you're gonna get used to it, and the beautiful part is that you can expand and grow as much as you can handle, or as much as you can dream, and possibilities are endless. Speaking of ENTP, I took this test maybe 12, 14 years ago for the first time, and I didn't really pay attention too much to it. But some years passed, and I reconnected with it again about 5 years in, and I was already doing photography. I was, rocking and rolling it, trying to. And the funny part was that in the description for the profession, it says ENTPs are good to be photographers and lawyers.
Wow.
And I laughed and sort of didn't get it the first time. Photographers, well, I kind of get it,
Sure.
Yeah. Lawyers, not so much. And it got me thinking for 2 solid days. And I started to actually get the point and see why it says lawyers. If you imagine a trial, a case, lawyers go against each other defending the case, play in and out different scenarios, what's going on. And in my own mind, what I do is I play both devil's advocate and a lawyer. So I throw in these cases at myself constantly. Photography, the light, the video, the speed, the angles, how many cameras am I going to use, how am I going to process it, how am I going to process it differently, shall I use drones, again, the angles, what's happening in it, how do I get to satisfy myself with what I see and present it to the clients and have them fall in love with it. I've been doing that for the past, I guess all my life.
Yeah, all your life, right?
all my life, now that I know what it is. But when it comes to photography, and I'm on a constant, race on, doing better and better and better and figuring out what's the next thing for me. How shall I process it? How shall I work with people? How shall I, satisfy myself? And I take myself on these trials all the time, figuring out if it's good enough or if it's just like last time and was the best way to improve it.
Right.
And outside of photography, it plays into the processes when you run your business and there is many hats in it. You got to hustle, you got to do the sales, you're the marketing guy, you're the editor, you deliver customer service, all of that plays in. And when it's just one you, being an ANTP, it kind of helps out to find those shortcuts, very effective shortcuts, which work and which save you time so that you can spend your time with family or hustle more or take your clients out for lunch.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. You get to deal with a lot of people, and lawyers get to deal with a lot of people as well. And each case is going to be different.
Are you
Same
a
with
lawyer?
photography. I'm not a lawyer.
You're not a lawyer?
But I know lawyers. I know attorneys. They are in my family.
Do you debate? How often do you debate with yourself?
I don't debate.
You don't debate?
I probably debate in my mind, but I haven't taken that deep dive, right? And that's one of the reasons for that is because I am constantly breaking my own thought process by distracting myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and at work, it's funny. They ask me, okay, so what's your new hobby this week? Because I'm into beekeeping, right? Photography, videography is another one. I wanted to do stand-up comedy at one point. I joined the Toastmasters Club to do, speaking. And every time they're like, dude, how many things are you going to do? Right? I did woodworking. I love to build stuff. I've got my own workshop.
Smell of the wood.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Chisel.
Yeah.
Just make something out of it.
Mm-hmm. But Vadym, it was really awesome meeting you.
Likewise.
We
Likewise.
definitely look forward to working with you in the future. If you're going on video shoots, photo shoots, whatever it is, I would love to be.
Absolutely. Hit me up. Productions involve more than one person.
Oh yeah.
I'll be glad to bring anybody on board.
Awesome. So yeah, let us know. Vadym, tell us how you pronounce your name, because I probably mispronounce your name.
So the best way to figure out how to pronounce my name and remember it forever, it's Vadym.
And Vadym.
Yes, Vadym, and or Vader, Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vadym. There you go, Vadym.
There you go.
Now you know.
You
know. And it's spelled Vadym.
Dym.
If you can spell the first part of my name, the last will pop up, and that's how you find me online.
Nice. So VadymGuliuk.com is where we can find more information about the photography and what Vadym does. And that's another episode of Hacks and Hobbies. Thanks for listening.
Ooh.